When the gods had seen fit to lay low the power of Asia and the innocent people of Priam, when proud Ilium had fallen and all Neptune's Troy lay smoking on the ground, we were driven by signs from heaven into distant exile to look for a home in some deserted land. There, hard by Antandros, under the Phrygian mountain range of Ida, we were mustering men and building a fleet without knowing where the fates were leading us or where we would be allowed to settle. The summer had barely started and Father Anchises was bidding us hoist sail and put ourselves in the hands of the fates. I wept as I left the shores of my native land and her harbours and the plains where once had stood the city of Troy. I was an exile, taking to the high seas with my comrades and my son, with the gods of our house and the great gods of our people. At some distance from Troy lay the land of Mars, a land of vast plains farmed by Thracians, once ruled by the savage Lycurgus. These people had ancient ties with Troy, while the fortunes of Troy remained, and our household gods were linked in alliance. Here I sailed, and using the name Aeneid, formed after my own, I laid out my first walls on the curved shore. But the fates frowned on these beginnings. I was worshipping my mother Venus, the daughter of Dione, and the gods who preside over new undertakings, and sacrificing a gleaming white bull to the most high king of the heavenly gods. Close by, there happened to be a mound on top of which there grew a thicket bristling with spears of cornel and myrtle wood. I had gone there and was beginning to pull green shoots out of the ground to cover the altar with leafy branches, when I saw a strange and horrible sight. As soon as I broke the roots of a tree and was pulling it out of the ground, dark gouts of blood dripped from it and stained the earth with gore. The horror of it chilled me to my bones. I trembled and my blood congealed with fear. I went on, pulling up more tough shoots from another tree, searching for the cause, however deep it might lie, and the dark blood flowed from the bark of this second tree. With my mind in turmoil, I began to pray to the country nymphs and to Father Mars Gradivus, who rules over the fields of the Getae, begging them to turn what I was seeing to good and to make the omen blessed. But after I had set about the spear-like shoots of a third shrub with greater vigour and was on my knees struggling to free it from the sandy soil, shall I speak or shall I be silent? I heard a heart-rending groan emerge from deep in the mound, and a voice rose into the air. "Why do you tear my poor flesh, Aeneas?" it cried. "Take pity now on the man who is buried here, and do not pollute your righteous hands. I am no stranger to you. It was Troy that bore me, and this is no tree that is oozing blood. Escape, I beg you, from these cruel shores, from this land of greed. It is Polydorus that speaks. This is where I was struck down, and an iron crop of weapons covered my body. Their sharp points have rooted and grown in my flesh." At this, fear and doubt oppressed me. My hair stood on end with horror, and the voice stuck in my throat. This was the Polydorus the doomed Priam had once sent in secret with a great mass of gold to be brought up by the king of Thrace, when at last he was losing faith in the arms of Troy and saw his city surrounded by besiegers, when fortune deserted the Trojans and their wealth was in ruins. The king went over to the side of the victors and joined the armies of Agamemnon. Breaking all the laws of God, he murdered Polydorus and seized the gold. Greed for gold is a curse. there is nothing to which it does not drive the minds of men. When the fear had left my bones, I told the chosen leaders of the people, and first of all my father, about this portent sent by the gods, and asked what should be done. They were of one mind. We must leave this accursed land, where the laws of hospitality had been violated, and let our ships run before the wind. So we gave Polydorus a second burial, heaping the earth high in a mound, and raising to his shade an altar dark with funeral wreaths and black cypress, while the women of Troy stood all around with their hair unbound in mourning. With offerings of foaming cups of warm milk and bowls of sacrificial blood, we committed his soul to the grave and lifted up our voices to call his name for the last time. Then, as soon as we could trust ourselves to the waves, when the winds had calmed the swell and a gentle breeze was rattling the rigging to call us out to sea, my comrades drew the ships down to the water and crowded the shore. We sailed out of the harbour, and the land and its cities soon fell away behind us. In the middle of the ocean lies a beautiful island, dear to Aegean Neptune, and the mother of the Nereids. It used to float from shore to shore until, in gratitude, the archer god Apollo moored it to Gyarus and high Mykonos, allowing it to stand firm and be inhabited and mock the winds. Here I sailed, and in this peaceful haven of Delos we came safe to land, weary from the sea. We went ashore and were admiring Apollo's city when its king, Aeneas, king of men and priest of the god, came to meet us, his forehead garlanded with ribbons and the sacred laurel. Recognizing Anchises as an old friend, he gave us his hand in hospitality, and we entered his house. There I gazed in reverence at the god's temple, built high of ancient stone, and made this prayer to Apollo. O God of Thimbra, grant us a home of our own. We are weary. Grant us walls and descendants, and a city that will endure. Preserve these remnants that have escaped the Greeks and pitiless Achilles, to be a second citadel for Troy. Whom are we to follow? Where do you bid us go? Where are we to settle? Send us a sign, O Father, and steal into our hearts. I had scarcely spoken when everything seemed to begin to tremble. The threshold of the doors of the god, his laurel tree, and all the mountain round about were shaken. The sanctuary opened, and a bellowing came from the bowl of the sacred tripod. We threw ourselves to the ground, and these were the words that came to our ears. O much-enduring sons of Dardanus, the land which first bore you from your parent stock will be the land that will take you back to her rich breast. Seek out your ancient mother, for that is where the house of Aeneas and his sons' sons, and their sons after them, will rule over the whole earth. So spoke Phoebus Apollo, and a great joy and tumult arose among us, all asking what city this was, where Apollo was directing us in our wanderings, what this land was to which we were to return. Then spoke my father Anchises, who had been turning over in his mind what he had heard from the men of old. Listen, he said, you leaders of Troy, and learn what you have to hope for. In the middle of the ocean lies Crete, the island of great Jupiter, where there is a Mount Ida, the cradle of our race, and where the Cretans live in 100 great cities, the richest of kingdoms, if I remember rightly what I have heard. Our first father Teucer sailed from there to Asia, landing at Cape Rotium, and chose that place to found his kingdom. Troy was not yet standing, nor was the citadel of Pergamum, and they lived low down in the valleys. This is the origin of the great mother of Mount Cybele, the bronze symbols of the Corybantes, our grove of Ida, the inviolate silence of our worship, and the yoked lions that draw the chariot of the mighty goddess. Come then, let us follow where we are led by the bidding of the gods. Let us appease the winds and set forth for the kingdoms of Knossos. It is not far to sail. If only Jupiter is with us, the third day will see our ships on the shores of Crete. So he spoke, and made due sacrifice on the altars, a bull to Neptune, and a bull to fair Apollo, a black lamb to the storms, and a white lamb to favouring breezes. Rumour, as she flew, told the tale of great Idomeneus, how he had been forced to leave his father's kingdom, and how the shores of Crete were now deserted. Here was a place empty of our enemies, their homes abandoned, waiting for us. We left the harbour of Ortygia and flew over the sea to Naxos, where Bacchants dance on the mountain ridges, and to green Donusa, to Orlyros, to Paros, marble white, and the Cyclades, scattered on the face of the sea, skimming over an ocean churned up by the coasts of 100 islands. The sailors raised all manner of shouts as they vied with one another in their rowing, and my comrades kept urging me to make for Crete and go back to the home of their ancestors. The wind rising astern sped us on our way, and we came to shore at last on the ancient land of Curetes. Impatiently I set to work on walls for the city we all longed for. I called it Pergamia, and the people rejoiced in the name. I urged them to love their hearths and homes and raise a citadel to protect them. Our ships were soon drawn up on dry land. Our young men were busy with marrying and putting new land under plough, and I was giving them homes and laws to live by, when suddenly from a polluted quarter of the sky there came a cruel, suppurating plague upon our bodies and upon the trees and crops. It was a time of death. Men were losing the lives they loved or dragging around their sickly bodies. The dog star burned the fields and made them barren. The grass dried. The crops were infected and gave us no food. My father bade me retrace our course back across the sea to Phoebus Apollo and his oracle at Ortygia, to pray for his gracious favour and ask when he would put an end to our toil, where we were to look for help in our adversity, and what course we were to steer. It was night, and sleep held in its grasp all living things upon the earth. There as I lay, the holy images of the gods, the Phrygian Penates, whom I had rescued from the thick of the flames of the burning city of Troy, seemed to be standing bathed in clear light before my eyes, where the full moon streamed in through the unshuttered windows. At last they spoke to me and comforted my sorrow with these words. Apollo here speaks the prophecy he will give you if you sail back to Ortygia. By his own will he has sent us here, and we stand at your door. We followed you and your arms when Troy was burned to ashes. With you to lead us, we have sailed across unmeasured tracts of swelling seas, and in time to come we shall raise your sons to the stars and give dominion to your city. Your task is to build great walls to guard this great inheritance. You must never flag in the long toil of exile, and you must leave this place. Delian Apollo did not send you to these shores. Crete is not where he commanded you to settle. There is a place, Greeks call it Hesperia, an ancient land strong in arms and in the richness of her soil. The Oenotrians lived there, but the descendants of that race are now said to have taken the name of their king, Italus, and called themselves Italians. This is our true home. This is where Dardanus sprang from, and his father Aeneas, from whom our race took its beginning. Rise then with cheerful heart, and pass on these words to Anchises your father, and let him be in no doubt. He must look for Corythus and the lands of Ausonia. Jupiter forbids you the Dictaean fields of Crete. I was astounded by this vision and by the words of the gods. This was no sleep. I seemed to be face to face with them, and to recognize their features and the garlands on their heads, and at the sight my whole body was bathed in cold sweat. Leaping from my bed, I raised my hands palm upward to the sky and lifted up my voice in prayer, making pure offerings at the hearth. Having performed these rites, I went with joyful heart to Anchises and told him everything in order. He remembered that our race had two founders, Dardanus and Teucer, a double ancestry. He realized that he had fallen into a new mistake about these ancient places. "Oh, my son," he said, "you who have been so tested by the fates of Troy, only Cassandra made such a prophecy to me. Now I remember how she used to foretell that this is what fate had in store for us, and she kept talking about Hesperia and about the kingdoms of Italy. But who would have believed that the Trojans would land on the shores of Hesperia? Who in those days would have believed the prophecies of Cassandra? Only because Apollo decided that you wouldn't. Let us yield to Phoebus Apollo. We have been advised, let us follow the better course." We all accepted his command with cries of joy and abandoned this second settlement, leaving only a few of our number behind, and set sail upon our hollow ships to run before the wind over the vast ocean. When we were out at sea and no longer in sight of land, and all around was sky and all around was sea, I saw a dark cloud come over our heads, bringing storm and black night, and the waves shivered in the darkness. The wind soon whipped up a great swell, and the storm rose and scattered us all over the ocean. A pall of cloud obscured the light, rain fell from a sky we could not see, and lightning tore the clouds, flash upon flash. We were thrown off course and drifted blindly in the waves. Under that sky, even Palinurus said he had lost his bearings in mid-ocean and could not tell day from night. For 3 long days, if days they were, of darkness, and 3 starless nights, we ran before the storm, until at last on the 4th day we saw the first land rising before us, and there opened a clear view of distant mountains and curling smoke. Down came the sails, and we sprang to the oars. The sailors were not slow to sweep the blue sea and churn it into foam. I was saved from the ocean, and the shores of the Strophiades were the first to receive me. This is the Greek name for islands in the great Ionian Sea. This is where the deadly Seleno and other harpies have lived ever since the house of Phineus was barred to them, and they were frightened away from the tables where they used to feed. These are the vilest of all monsters. No plague or visitation of the gods sent up from the waves of the river Styx has ever been worse than these. They are birds with the faces of girls, with filth oozing from their bellies, with hooked claws for hands, and faces pale with a hunger that is never satisfied. As soon as we reached the Strophiades and entered the harbour, there we saw on every side rich herds of cattle on the level ground and flocks of goats unguarded on the grass. We drew our swords and rushed upon them, calling on the gods and on Jupiter himself to share our plunder. Then we raised couches along the shore of the bay and were feasting on this rich fare, when suddenly the harpies were among us, swooping down from the mountains with a fearful clangor of their wings, tearing the food to pieces and polluting everything with their foul contagion. The stench was rank, and through all this we heard their hideous screeching. Once again, in a sheltered spot far back under an overhanging rock, we relaid our tables and relit the altar fires. Once again, The noisy flock came from some hidden roost in a different quarter of the sky and fluttered round their prey, clutching it in their hooked claws and fouling it in their mouths. Then it was I ordered my men to arm themselves to make war against this fearsome tribe. They did as ordered, hiding swords and shields here and there in the grass. And so, when Misenus, in his high lookout, heard the sound of them swooping down along the whole curved shore bay, he raised the alarm by blowing on the hollow bronze of his trumpet, and my comrades attacked. This was a new kind of battle. Swords against filthy seabirds. But these were feathers that felt no violence and backs that could receive no wounds. They soared in swift flight up toward the stars, leaving behind the half-eaten food and their filthy droppings. All but one who remained perched high on a pinnacle of rock. Seleno was her name, and from her breast there burst this dire prophecy. Is it war you offer us now, sons of Laomedon, for the slaughter of our bullocks and the felling of our oxen? Is it your plan to make war against the innocent harpies and drive us from the kingdom of our ancestors? Listen to what I have to say, and fix it in your minds. These words were spoken by the Almighty Father of the gods to Phoebus Apollo, and Phoebus Apollo spoke them to me, and now I, the greatest of the Furies, speak them to you. You are calling upon the winds and trying to sail to Italy. To Italy you will go, and you will be allowed to enter its harbours, but you will not be given a city, and you will not be allowed to build walls around it before a deadly famine has come upon you, and the guilt of our blood drives you to gnaw round the edges of your tables, to put them between your teeth and eat them. With these words she rose on her wings and flew into the forest. In that instant the blood of my comrades was congealed with fear. Their spirits fell, and they lost all desire for fight, telling me to plead and pray to the creatures for peace, whether they were goddesses or foul and deadly birds. Then Father Anchises stood on the shore and raised his palms upward to heaven, calling upon the great gods and pledging to pay them all the honours that were their due. "O you gods," he cried, "let not this threat be fulfilled. O gods, turn away this fate from us and graciously preserve your devoted people." He then gave orders to pull in the cables, undo the sail ropes, and let them run. The south wind filled the canvas, and wind and helmsman each set the same course for us as we flew over foaming waves. Soon there appeared in mid-ocean the woods of Zacynthus and Dulichium, Same and the stone cliffs of Neritos. We raced away from the rocks of Ithaca, the kingdom of Laertes, and cursed the land that had nurtured the villain Ulysses. In no time there rose before us the cloudy cap of Mount Leucas and Apollo's temple, the terror of sailors. Being weary, we set course for it and came to the land at the little city. The anchors ran out from the prows, and our ships stood to the shore. So at last our feet were on dry land again, more than we had dared to hope for. We performed rites of purification to Jupiter and lit altar fires in fulfillment of our vows, crowding the shores of Actium with our Trojan games. My comrades stripped and made their bodies slippery with oil and wrestled in the style of their fathers as we celebrated our escape and safe voyage past so many Greek cities, right through the middle of our enemies. In due course the sun rolled on round the great circle of the year. Icy winter came and the north winds were roughening the seas. I then took a concave shield of bronze, the armour once carried by great Abbas, and nailed it onto the doors of the temple where we could all see, proclaiming the dedication of it with this inscription: Aeneas dedicates these arms taken from the conquering Greeks. Then I gave orders to leave port and told the rowers to sit to their benches. They vied with one another to strike the sea and sweep the surface of it with their oars. We had soon put the cloud-capped citadels of Phaeacia down below the horizon, and we coasted along Epirus until we entered the harbour of Chaonia, and then walked up to the lofty city of Buthrotum. Here there came to our ears a story almost beyond belief, that Helenus, a son of Priam, was king over these Greek cities of Epirus, having succeeded to the throne in the bed of Pyrrhus, son of Achilles and descendant of Aeneas. Andromache, once wife of Hector, had for a second time taken a husband from her own people. I was astounded, and the heart within me burned with love for the man and longing to meet him and find out about these great events. I was walking away from the harbour, leaving ships and shore behind me, when I caught sight of Andromache offering a ritual meal and performing rites to the dead in a grove in front of the city on the banks of the river Simois, but not the true Simois of Troy. She was pouring a libation to the ashes of her husband Hector, calling on his shade to come to the empty tomb, a mound of green grass, on which she had consecrated 2 altars. There she used to go and weep. When she saw me approaching with armed Trojans all about me, she was beside herself, numb with fear the moment she saw this great miracle, and the warmth of life went out of her bones. She fainted, and only after a long time was she at last able to speak to me. Is this a true vision? Is it a true messenger that comes to me, son of the goddess? Are you alive? If the light of life has left you, why are you here? Where is Hector? As she spoke, she burst into tears, and her cries filled all the grove. I could hardly find an answer to these wild words, but stammered a few broken phrases. I am indeed alive. After all that has happened, I still go on living. Do not doubt it. What you see is true. But tell me, what fate has overtaken you since you were deprived of such a husband? What has fallen to the lot of Hector's Andromache? Are you still the wife of Pyrrhus? She answered, and her voice was low and her eyes downcast. The happiest of all Trojan women was the virgin daughter of Priam, who was made to die by the tomb of her enemy Achilles under the high walls of Troy. Polyxena did not have to endure the casting of lots, or live to be the slave of a conqueror and lie in a master's bed. But we saw our home burned and sailed over many seas. We submitted to the arrogance of the house of Achilles and the insolence of his son, and bore him a child in slavery. In due course he turned his attention to marrying a Spartan, Hermione, granddaughter of Leda, giving his slave Andromache over to his slave Helenus. But Orestes loved Hermione and had hoped to marry her. Incensed at losing her and driven on by the madness brought upon him by his own crimes, he caught Pyrrhus where Pyrrhus least expected him and slaughtered him on the altar he had raised to his father Achilles. At his death, some of the kingdom he had ruled over came into the possession of Helenus, who then called the plains the Chaonian plains, and the whole district Chaonia, after Chaon of Troy. He then built Pergamum, this Trojan citadel on the ridge. But what winds and what fates have given you passage here? Is it some god that has driven you to these shores that you did not know were ours? What about your boy Ascanius? Is he alive and breathing the air? If he were with you now in Troy. But does he ever think of the mother he has lost? Does the old courage and manliness ever rise in him at the thought of his father Aeneas and his uncle Hector? She was weeping her useless tears and sobbing bitterly as these words poured from her, when the hero Helenus, son of Priam, arrived from the walls of the city with a great escort. He recognized his own people and took us gladly to his home. He too was weeping and could speak only a few broken words to us between his tears. As I walked I recognized a little Troy, a citadel modelled on great Pergamum, and a dried-up stream they called Xanthus. There was the Scaean gate, and I embraced it. Nor were my Trojans slow to enjoy this Trojan city with me. The king received them in broad colonnade, and in the middle of the courtyard they poured libations of the wine of Bacchus, and fed off golden dishes, and every man had a goblet in his hand. Day after day wore on with breezes tempting our sails, and canvas filling and swelling in the south wind, until I went to the prophet Helenus with this request. You are Trojan-born. You can read the signs sent by the gods. You understand the will of Phoebus Apollo of Claros, his tripods and his laurels. You know the meaning of the stars, the cries of the birds, and the omens of their flight. Come, tell me, for every sign I have received from heaven has spoken in favour of this journey, and I am persuaded by all the divine powers to set course for Italy and try to find that distant land. Only the harpy Selino has prophesied a strange and monstrous portent, threatening us with her deadly anger and all the horrors of famine. Come, tell me now, what dangers am I to avoid as I start upon this journey? And as it goes on, what must I do to overcome such adversities? Before replying, Helenus first performed a ritual slaughter of bullocks and asked for the blessing of the gods. He then loosened the ribbons from his consecrated head, and taking my hand, he led me in anxious expectation into the mighty presence of the god. In due course he spoke as priest, and this was the prophecy that came from his hallowed lips. O son of the goddess, the proof is full and clear that the highest auspicious favour your voyage. This is the fate allotted to you by the king of the gods. This is how your fortune rolls, and this is the order of its turning. My words will tell you a small part of all there is to know, so that you may trust yourself more safely to cross the seas that are waiting to receive you, and come to harbour in Ausonia. The fates do not allow Helenus to know the rest, and Saturnian Juno forbids it to be spoken. First, you are wrong to imagine that it is a short voyage to Italy, and that there are harbours close at hand for you to enter. Far and pathless are the ways that lie between you and that far distant land. You must first bend the oar in the waves of Sicilian seas, then cross the ocean of Ausonia and the lakes of the underworld, and pass Aea, the island of Circe, before you can come to the land which will be safe for the founding of your city. I shall give you a sign, and you must keep it deep within your heart. When in an hour of perplexity by the flowing waters of a lonely river, you find under some holm oaks on the shore of a great sow, with the litter of 30 piglets she has farrowed, lying there on her side all white, with her young all white around her udders. That will be the place for your city. There you will find the rest ordained for all your labours. Nor is there any need for you to shudder at the thought of eating your tables. The fates will find a way. Call upon Apollo, and he will come. But you must quickly leave this land of ours, and keep well clear of the shore of Italy that lies nearest us, bathed by the tide of our sea. For hostile Greeks live in all these cities. Here, Locrians from Naricum have built their walls, and the army of the Cretan Idomeneus of Lyctos has seized the Salentine plains in Calabria. Here too is the little town of Petalia, perching on the wall built for it by Philoctetes, leader of the Meliboeans. And when you have passed all these, and your ships are moored across the sea, when you have raised altars on the shore to fulfill your vows, do not forget to veil your head in purple cloth, so that when the altar fires are burning to honour the gods, no enemy presence can intrude and spoil the omens. Your comrades and you yourself must keep this mode of sacrifice, and your descendants must maintain this purity of worship forever. But when you sail on, and the wind carries you near the shore of Sicily, and the close-set barriers of Pelorus open before you, make for the land to the south and the sea to the south, taking the long way round Sicily, and keeping well clear of the breakers on the coast to the starboard. Men say these lands were originally one, but were long ago convulsed by some great upheaval and torn apart. Such changes can occur in the long aging of time. The waves of the sea burst in between them and cut Sicily loose from the flank of the land of Hesperia, putting coastlines between their fields and cities and flowing in between them in a narrow tide. On your right waits Scylla in ambush, and on your left the insatiable Charybdis. 3 times a day, with the deep vortex of her whirlpool, Charybdis sucks great waves into the abyss and then throws them upward again to lash the stars. But Scylla lurks in the dark recesses of her cave and shoots out her mouths to seize ships and drag them on the rocks. She has a human face, and as far as the groin she is a girl with lovely breasts, but below she is a monstrous sea creature, her womb full of wolves, each with a dolphin's tail. It is better to lose time by taking the long course round Cape Pachynus, rather than set eyes on the hideous Scylla deep in her cave, or see those rocks loud with barking dogs as blue as the sea. One more thing. If the prophet Helenus has any insight into the future, if there is any reason to believe what I say, if Apollo fills my mind with the truth, there is one prophecy I shall make to you above all others, one counsel I shall repeat to you again and again. Worship the Godhead of great Juno first and foremost in your prayers. Of your own free will submit your vows to Juno, and win over the mighty Queen of Heaven with your offerings as you pray. If you do this, you will at last leave Sicily behind you and succeed in reaching the shores of Italy. When you have landed and come to the city of Cumae and the sacred lakes of Avernus among their sounding forests, there deep in a cave in the rock, you will see a virgin priestess foretelling the future in prophetic frenzy by writing signs and names on leaves. After she has written her prophecies on these leaves, she seals them all up in her cave, where they stay in their appointed order. But the leaves are so light that when the door turns in its sockets, the slightest breath of wind dislodges them. The draught from the door throws them into confusion, and the priestess never makes it her concern to catch them as they flutter around her rocky cave and put them back in order or join up the prophecies. So men depart without receiving advice and are disappointed in the house of Sibyl. No matter how impatient your comrades, no matter how the winds may cry out to your sails to take to sea, though you know that you could fill the canvas with favouring breezes, you must not begrudge the time, but must stay to visit the priestess. Approach her oracle with prayers and beg her, by her own gracious will, to prophesy to you herself, opening her lips and speaking to you in her own voice. She will tell you of the peoples of Italy and the wars that are to come, and how you are to escape or endure all the labours that lie before you. If you do her reverence, she will give you a prosperous journey. This is as much my voice may utter to give you guidance. Now go forward, and by your actions raise the greatness of Troy to the skies. After the prophet Helenus had told us these things in the friendliness of his heart, he then ordered his people to carry gifts of solid gold and carved ivory down to our ships, and stowed a great quantity of silver in their hulls, with cauldrons from Jupiter's temple at Dodona. A breastplate of chainmail interwoven with triple threads of gold, and a noble helmet with crest and streaming plumes once worn by Neoptolemus. There were other gifts for my father, and he also gave us horses and leaders of men, rowers to make up the crews, and arms for my comrades. Meanwhile, Anchises was ordering us to fit out the ships with their sails and not lose the following winds when the priest of Apollo addressed him in deep respect. Anchises, the gods love you. You have been thought worthy of the highest of all honours, the love of Venus. You have been twice rescued from the ruins of Troy, and now before you, look, the land of Ausonia. Sail there and take possession of it, but you must sail past the opposite coast. The part of Ausonia which Apollo reveals to you is far from here. Go then, Anchises, fortunate in the devotion of your son. There is no more to say. Why do I keep you talking when the wind is rising? Andromache also grieved at this parting that was to be our last, and brought us robes embroidered with gold thread and a Phrygian cloak for Ascanius. She was as generous as Helenus had been, heaping the gifts of her weaving upon him, and saying, "Take these too, my boy. I hope the work of my hands may remind you of Andromache, wife of Hector, and be a token of my long-enduring love for you. Accept them. They are the last gifts you will receive from your own people. You are the only image left to me of my own son Astyanax. He had just those eyes and just those hands. His face was just like yours. He would have been growing up now, the same age as yourself." The tears were starting to my eyes as I was leaving them, and I spoke these words. "Live on and enjoy the blessing of heaven. Your destiny has been accomplished, but we are called from fate to fate. Your rest is won. You do not need to plough tracts of ocean searching for the ever-receding Ausonian fields. You have before your eyes an image of the river Xanthus and a Troy made by your own hands, more fortunate, I pray, than the Troy that was, and less of a stumbling block to the Greeks. If ever I reach the river Thybris and the fields through which the Thybris flows, and see my people with their own city walls, we shall in some future age unite our cities and the peoples of Hesperia and Epirus, for we are kith and kin. The same Dardanus is our founder, and the same destiny attends us. We shall make them both one Troy in spirit. Let that be a duty for our descendants." Down the coast we sailed near the Ceronian rocks, where the crossing to Italy is shortest. And as we sailed, the sun set, and shadow darkened the mountains. At last we lay down by the waves of the sea in the lap of earth, and after allotting the next day's order of rowing, we took our ease all along the dry beach, and sleep washed into our weary limbs. Night in its chariot, drawn by the hours, was not yet coming up to the middle of the sky, but there was no more sleep for Palinurus. He rose from his bed and studied all the winds, pricking up his ears to test the air and marking the path of every star gliding in the silent sky, Arcturus and the rainy Hyades, and the two Triones, the oxen of the plough, and he looked round to the south at Orion armed in gold, and saw that the whole sky was serene and settled. Clear came his signal from the high stern. We broke camp, started our voyage, and spread the wings of our sails. The stars had been put to flight, and dawn was reddening in the sky when we sighted in the far distance the dim hills and plains of Italy. "Italy!" The first shout was from Achates. And "Italy!" The men took up the cry in cheerful salute. Then Father Anchises, standing on the high stern, garlanded a great mixing bowl, filled it with unwatered wine, and called upon the gods. "O you who rule sea, land, and storm, give us easy wind for our voyage. Blow kindly upon us." His prayer was answered. The breeze freshened, and a harbour opened up before us, growing nearer and nearer till we could see the temple of Minerva on the citadel. My comrades furled their sails and pointed their prows to the shore. The harbour was shaped like a bow, curving away from the swell which came in from the east. The rocks at the mouth were foaming with salt spray, but the harbour lay tucked away behind. Towering rocks on either side stretched down their arms to form a double wall, and the temple stood well back from the shore. The first omen I saw here was 4 horses white as snow cropping the grass on the broad plain, and my father Anchises interpreted it. This land that receives us is promising us war. Men arm horses for war, and so this troop of horses means threat of war. Yet at other times they are harnessed to chariots and accept reins under the yoke in harmony. There is also hope of peace. At that moment, that didn't really tell you anything though, did it? At that moment, we prayed to the sacred godhead of Pallas, clasher of arms, the first goddess to welcome us in this hour of our joy. Standing at the altar, we veiled our heads with the Phrygian cloth, and in accordance with the instructions which Helenus had told us to follow before all others, duly paid the prescribed honour to Juno of Argos with our burnt offerings. We did not linger there, but as soon as we had performed the rites in due order, we raised our sails, swung the yards round, and left behind us this home of Greeks, this land we could not trust. Next we saw the bay of Tarentum, the city of Hercules, if the story is true, and over against it rose the temple of the goddess Juno at Lacinium, the citadel of Caulon, and the bay of Cilicium, that great breaker of ships. Then from far out at sea we sighted Mount Etna in Sicily, and heard a loud moaning of water and grinding of rocks, and the voice of breakers beating on the shore, as the sea began to rise and swirl the sand in its surge. Father Anchises cried out, "This must be the deadly Charybdis. These are the cliffs Helenus warned us against. These are the terrible rocks. Use all your strength to save yourselves, comrades. Keep well in time and rise to the oar." They did as they were bidden. Palinurus was the first to wrench his ship to port, and out to sea with a loud creaking of the bow, and the whole fleet, with every sail and oar, steered to port with him. A great arcing wave came and lifted us to the sky, and a moment later, as the wave was sucked down, we plunged into the abyss of hell. 3 times the cliffs roared between their hollow rocks. 3 times we saw the foam shoot up and spatter the stars. Meanwhile the sun had set, the wind had fallen, and we were weary and lost, drifting towards the shore of the Cyclops. The harbour there is out of the wind. It is still and spacious, but close by, Mount Etna thunders and hurls down its deadly debris. Sounds like a volcano. Yeah, okay, it's a volcano. Sometimes it shoots a pitch-black cloud of swirling smoke and glowing ashes into the sky and tosses up balls of flame to lick the stars. Sometimes it belches boulders, tearing out the bowels of the mountain and throwing molten rock up into the air, seething and groaning in its very depths. The story goes that the body of Enceladus, half consumed by fire of thunderbolt, is crushed under this great mass. Mighty Etna lies on top of him, breathing fire from its shattered furnaces, and every time he turns over from one weary flank to another, the whole of Sicily trembles and murmurs and wreathes the sky with smoke. We hid in the woods and lived through a night of horror, not seeing what was making these monstrous sounds. The fire of the stars was quenched, and the dark bowl of heaven was denied their radiance. Clouds darkened the sky, and unbroken night obscured the moon. At last the morning star appeared, and the next day was beginning to rise. The goddess of the dawn had dispersed the dank mists from the sky, when suddenly we saw a strange sight. Coming out of the woods was a man we did not know, in pitiable plight, and half dead with hunger, coming towards us on the shore with his hands stretched out in supplication. We stared at him. The filth on his body was indescribable. He had a straggling beard, and the rags he wore were pinned together by thorns. But for all that he was a Greek, and those who had been sent to Troy bearing the arms of his country. When still at a distance he saw our Trojan clothes and Trojan armour, he checked his stride and stood in terror at the sight of us. But he soon rushed down to the shore, weeping and pleading, "I beg you, Trojans, by all the stars, by the gods above, by the bright air of heaven which we breathe, take me aboard your ships. Take me anywhere, that is all I ask. I know I was one of those who sailed with the Greek fleet. I admit I made war against the gods of your homes in Troy. If that offence is so great, tear me limb from limb, scatter the pieces on the waves, and let them sink into the vastness of the sea. If I am to die, I shall be pleased to die at the hands of men." When he had spoken, he clasped our knees. He grovelled on his knees and would not rise. We urged him to explain who he was, what family he came from, and what misfortune was driving him to this. Father Anchises himself was not slow to offer his right hand, and that assurance gave him courage. He laid aside his fear and told his story. "My native land is Ithaca. I am a comrade of the unfortunate Ulysses. My name is Achaemenides. My father, Adamastus, being poor, I went to Troy. Cursed be the day! My comrades, distraught with fear, forgot me and left me here in the vast cave of the Cyclops when they crossed that cruel threshold to safety. This huge cavern is his home, deep and dark and filthy with the gore of his feasts. He himself is so tall that his head knocks against the stars. Oh, you gods, relieve the earth of all such monsters. No one dares to look at him or speak to him. He feeds on the flesh of his victims and drinks the black blood. I have seen him with my own eyes, lolling in the middle of his cave with two of our men in one huge hand, bashing their bodies on the rock till the threshold was swimming with blood. I have seen him chewing arms and legs, with black gore oozing from them and warm limbs twitching beneath his teeth. But he met his punishment. The man from Ithaca did not submit to this. Whatever happened, Ulysses was always Ulysses. As soon as the Cyclops had his fill and was sunk in a drunken stupor, lying there with his head back and his neck exposed, sprawling all over the cave and belching blood and wine and pieces of flesh as he slept. We prayed to the great gods, and after casting lots, spread ourselves out all around him. Then, taking a sharp weapon, we drilled the one huge eye that lay like an Argive shield or the lamp of Apollo's sun, deep set in that dreadful forehead. That was how, in the end, we took sweet revenge for the death of our comrades. But you are in danger. You must escape, and escape now. Cut your moorings and put to sea. You know what Polyphemus is and how huge he is, keeping his woolly sheep penned there in his hollow cave and squeezing the milk from their udders. But there are 100 other horrible Cyclops living together near this shore and roving the high mountains. This is now the 3rd time I have seen the horns of the moon filling with light as I have dragged out my existence in the woods alone among the dens and lairs of wild beasts, climbing rocks to keep watch on the giant Cyclops, and trembling at the sound of their voices and the tread of their feet. My food is miserable. The trees yield me some berries and the fruit of the cornel, hard as stone, and I tear up herbs by the root and eat them. I have kept constant watch, but this is the first time I have seen ships coming near this shore. I have put myself in your hands, and would have done so whoever you had been. It is enough for me to escape from this unspeakable people. You can take this life of mine by whatever means you please." Scarcely had he finished speaking when we saw the shepherd Polyphemus himself high up on the mountain among his sheep, heaving his vast bulk down towards the shore he knew so well. It was a terrifying sight, huge, hideous, blinded in his one eye and using the trunk of a pine tree to guide his hand and give him a firm footing. His woolly sheep were coming with him. They were the only pleasure he had left, his sole consolation in distress. As soon as he felt the waves deepening and reached the level ocean, he washed away with sea-water the blood that was still trickling from his gouged-out eye, grinding his teeth and moaning, and as he strode now in mid-ocean, the waves still did not wet his towering flanks. We were terrified, and lost no time in taking the fugitive aboard. He had suffered enough, and making our escape. Keeping silence as we cut the cables, we churned the surface of the sea, leaning forward and straining at the oars. He heard us, and whirled round in the direction of our voices, but he had no chance of laying a hand on us or keeping up with the current of the Ionian Sea. So he raised a great clamour which set the ocean and all its waves shivering. The whole land of Italy trembled with fear, and the bellowing boomed in the hollow caverns of Mount Etna. The tribe of Cyclops was roused, and came rushing down from their woods and high mountains to the harbour, and filled the shore. We saw the brotherhood of Etna standing there, helpless, each with his one eye glaring, and head held high in the sky, a fearsome gathering, standing like high-topped mountain oaks or cone-bearing cypresses in Jupiter's soaring forest or in the grove of Diana. With terror driving us along, we let the sheets full out and filled our sails with whatever wind was blowing. This is what Helenus had told us not to do. He had advised us that it was the narrow passage between Scylla and Charybdis with death on either side if I did not hold a steady course. I resolved to turn about, and sure enough, the north wind came up to our rescue and blew down the narrow strait from Cape Pelorus. I sailed south, past the mouth of the river Pantagius, with its harbour of natural rock, past the bay of Megara and low-lying Thapsus. Achaemenides pointed out such places to us as we took him back along the shores he had once sailed in his wanderings as a comrade of the unfortunate Ulysses. At the entrance to the bay of Syracuse, opposite the wave-beaten headland of Plemmyrium, there stands an island which men of old called Ortygia. The story goes that the river god Alpheus of Elis forced his way here by hidden passages under the sea, and now mingles with Sicilian waters at the mouth of Arethusa's fountain. Obeying the instructions we had received, we worshipped the great gods of the place, and I then sailed on, leaving behind the rich lands around the marshy river Pelorus. From here we rounded Cape Pachynus, keeping close in to its jutting cliffs of rock, and Camarina came into view in the distance, the place the fates forbade to move, and then the Galoan plains and Gela itself, called after its turbulent river. Then in the far distance appeared the great walls of Acragas on its crag, once famous for the breeding of high-mettled horses. Next the wind carried me past Selinus, named after the parsley it gave to crown the visitors in Greek games. I steered past the dangerous shoals and hidden rocks of Lilybaeum. I then put into port at Drepanum, but had little joy of that shore. This was the place where, weary as I was, with all these batterings of sea and storm, to my great grief, I lost my father Anchises, who had been my support in every difficulty and disaster. This is where you left me, O best of fathers, whom I rescued from so many dangers, and all to no purpose. Neither Helenus, for all his fearsome predictions, nor the harpy Celino gave me any warning of this sorrow. This was the last of my labours. With this my long course was run. From here I sailed, and God drove me upon your shores. In these words did Father Aeneas recount his wanderings, and the fates the gods had sent him, and they all listened. At last he was silent. Here he made an end and was at peace.